Hey there, it's been a while since I, Sam Valentino, the private toon detective, starred in a vlog on this YouTube channel. But I am here with some more scoop on the messed up animation world of today. To start, today is the release date of The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Though not all theaters are playing it, but many of them are, including at least a couple in my area.
And if it's playing in your area, please go see it in the theater. My movie's real humdinger. The very first theatrical all-animated Looney Tunes feature film that does not reuse any older cartoons. It may not have been nominated for any awards, but you're gonna love it.
Thanks for your little plug, Daffy. But he has a point. Things are still looking bleak for Warner Brothers Animation. Tiny Toons University and Bugs Bunny Builders are apparently being canceled. Not because of any controversies, but because of the corrupt mug David Zaslav not giving him a chance. Speaking of which, for now the future is still highly uncertain for Coyote vs. Acme. The filmmakers said they pretty much had a funeral screening for it. Wile E. Coyote's still protesting. Someone even got footage of him doing so outside the Warner Brothers lot. I guess after our doing so at last year's Fur Apocalypse, he was ready for the real thing. And again, Warner Bros. Discovery isn't the only one suffering right now. On the Disney side of things, they canceled that Tiana animated series that was to stream on Disney+. And it was being produced by Disney's feature animation studio, rather than the television animation unit, which will soon be 40 years old. This was because after 5 years of development hell, Tina went over budget, and because Disney's no longer focused on producing long-form content directly for their streaming service. Geez, the tables sure have turned compared to nearly 5 years ago, after the COVID-19 pandemic broke out and Disney redirected most of their efforts to producing shows and movies exclusively for Disney+. But they will still be making an animated special based on The Princess and the Frog, based on what was going to be in the Tiana series. And Princess Tiana's voice actress, Anika Non-Rose, is understandably upset about this. Similarly, the Lilo and Stitch live-action remake that was originally intended to be a Disney Plus exclusive will be getting a theatrical release. I wonder if Disney is going to redirect their content back to not just for Disney Plus. It means they'll start producing more animated TV specials again. It'll soon be 5 years since the Peanuts animated specials left ABC, leaving a lot of gaps to fill. Disney already has Prep and Landing, Toy Story The Time Forgot, and Olaf's Frozen Adventure for the Christmas season. And they also had Toy Story A Terror, which they passed off as a Halloween special despite it being a summertime story. They could always do an actual Halloween special with the Monsters Incorporated characters. An Inside Out Valentine's Day special. Maybe even something with the Zootopia franchise. A network TV special, that is. But it would be too soon for that, since Zootopia 2 is still coming out to theaters later this year. And I'm planning to see that as well. And regarding the Fox animated shows, things don't seem to be looking good for them. I know The Simpsons is having a 37th season premiering later this year, but apparently it's been performing worse and worse on Fox. They're considering moving that and Bob's Burgers to Wednesday nights, after airing new episodes' first run on Sunday nights, for over 30 years now in the case of The Simpsons. But to be fair, I remember when The Simpsons used to air on Thursday nights, but that was back when The Simpsons was such a wild success and Fox wanted it to go head-to-head with The Cosby Show. And ultimately, The Simpsons won out. And Bob's Burgers has been on hiatus for months now, with the next new episodes not airing until later in May. So that means it might be an abnormally short season, or it'll just run the season until autumn begins again. Despite currently being the most popular Fox animation domination show right now, Bob's Burgers seems to often get the short end of the stick with Fox's scheduling. For a while, they had a whole season's worth of holdovers from the past season, thanks to constantly being delayed by NFL football on Fox and the OT. The Family Guy is still running like normal on Fox. They even premiered a new episode on the same night as ABC showing the Academy Awards. Maybe they knew how boring the Oscars have since become, especially if you're a toon like me. And so they'd actually have something funny on at the same time. at least to some people, as Family Guy's ratings have also been declining pretty badly. This season it's had a few new episodes premiere as Hulu originals instead, while The Simpsons had a few episodes premiere on Disney Plus, where they stream all the past seasons. And just like clockwork, when the newest season of The Simpsons premieres on Fox, the previous season is added to Disney Plus. When I started to think Fox might be having second thoughts, losing money over the failing ratings of The Simpsons and Family Guy. Both shows are pretty much running out of gas, and more people now just DVR the episodes or stream them on Hulu later instead, or watching them live. Also, regarding television, there's how MeTV Toons is still going strong, but early last month, Rocky and Bullwinkle suddenly disappeared from the schedule, with this disclaimer.
The distributor of The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle has requested that we pause the airing of the show. We apologize for the interruption, and we hope to have Rocky, Bullwinkle, and friends back on the air soon.
That sounds like a new mystery for me to try and solve, though I do already have a possible hunch. The current distributor for Rocky and Bullwinkle is Wile E, as of 3 years ago, buying them from Universal's Classic Media. But at the end of the Rocky and Bullwinkle reruns on MeTV Toons, a Universal logo appears. And since it's the 1990s logo, I've deducted that was tacked on when the show was remastered for international distribution in 1997, back when Universal still had some distribution rights to Rocky and Bullwinkle. These are the prints used on the DVD releases. You know, the ones where the first two seasons will replace Frank Comstock's theme music with the later Fred Steiner themes due to licensing issues. But on DVD, the Universal logo was removed. Probably because by this time, Universal sold off the rights to Classic Media. But then in 2012, DreamWorks Animation bought out Classic Media in hopes of making new animated feature adaptations of their library. But so far, the only one to get that treatment was Mr. Peabody and Sherman. And when it bombed at the box office during DreamWorks' slump at the time, they didn't try doing that again. And then Comcast, the owner of NBC Universal, bought DreamWorks in 2016. A few years later, DreamWorks' name was dropped from Classic Media, but they remained a division of Comcast and Universal to this day, expanding their animation library even more. And MeTV Toons has the rights to air some of the Universal Animation Library programming, such as the Walter Lantz cartoons, the Harvey Toons, and Underdog, and the other Total Television shows. Also, MeTV Toons started up a new 2-hour block, the House of Hanna-Barbera, showcasing all the different funny animal series they've done over the years. From stuff aired on the Huckleberry Hound show to the Yogi Bear show, Wally Gator and Touche Turtle and Lippy the Lion, the Magilla Gorilla and Peter Potamus and Adam Ant and Secret Squirrel shows, and even the theatrical Loopy-de-Loop cartoons. Some of these shorts, such as the Yogi Bear show and Loopy-de-Loop and the Magilla Gorilla show, got stunning new HD restorations. And in the case of Magilla Gorilla, that show's Blu-ray is being released by Warner Archive later this month. And when they restored it, they even brought back the original opening and closing credits with a fun surprise at the end.
A Screen Gems presentation.
You may recall that Screen Gems used to distribute Hanna-Barbera's material prior to Taft Broadcasting buying the studio, and Screen Gems has since been folded into Sony Pictures Television. And on the shows they do still own, they go to great lengths to hide all the old Screen Gems logo and favor their new Sony logo with that Carmen-like music. But of course, Warner Brothers now owns much of the Hanna-Barbera library, and on the other older HB shows Screen Gems distributed, their logos are generally removed. So this is a first, especially since I've known Warner Brothers to be really plaster happy when it comes to old movie TV logos, slapping a modern WB Shield logo at the start of their movies and the end of their TV shows. Though on MeTV Toons, reruns of the Ruby Spears Heathcliff shows, despite being new restorations, for some weird reason, they plastered the original Ruby Spears logo with the 1994 Hanna-Barbera comedy logo. I remember some international airings doing that, and some 1990s Cartoon Network reruns. And so maybe regional broadcasting was simply following suit. But it's still a ridiculous idea. Not only is that a Turner company byline nowadays about as relevant as a Taft Broadcasting Company, but Ruby Spears was a separate company from Hanna-Barbera, even though they were both under the same ownership through the 1980s. And then when Turner bought Hanna-Barbera in 1991, Ruby Spears sold her pre-1991 library to Turner as part of it. Also, in addition to Magilla Gorilla coming out on Blu-ray later next month, Wacky Racist makes its Blu-ray debut. As I said, that show also got a high-definition remaster, initially for Japanese airings and releases, given how popular Wacky Racist is in Japan. And then when MeTV Toons started up and began airing that version, it'll be nice to have a physical media, and a big improvement over the initial 2004 DVD release using the 1990s Turner masters. Yeah. Back then, the first Hanna-Barbera shows Warner Brothers was restoring were the original Scooby-Doo shows, given that was WB's biggest legacy Hanna-Barbera cash cow at the time, and still is to this day. And MeTV Toons also marked the American television debut of Warner's restored version of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, as Cartoon Network and Boomerang largely still used the 1990s Turner masters, excepting Go Away Ghost Ship still being an older sped-up syndication print from the 1980s with the laugh track removed. Geez, the difference is like night and day. Also, regarding Warner Archive releasing Hanna-Barbera shows restored in high definition on Blu-ray, early this year they released the adult animated series Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, and it's got all the episodes, as MeTV skipped over some of them, mostly the ones featuring celebrity guests. And this is kind of confusing as they air the Flintstones and the new Scooby-Doo movies episodes featuring such guest stars. Heck, several of the same guest stars in the latter appeared in the second season of Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, such as Phyllis Diller, Don Adams, Don Knotts, and Jonathan Winters. Phyllis played a pretty kooky and incompetent detective, as did Rich Little. Naturally, when I watched the episode it was in, I quickly figured out the mystery, spotting an obvious clue Rich missed. Also, MeTV Toons would cut out the teaser sequences playing a quick clip for later in the episode. Standard practice for Hanna-Barbera's primetime shows like they did with the Flintstones and Top Cat and the Jetsons. And in the series finale, MeTV Toons censored a bit where Chet Boyle had a picture of a topless woman in his room. I guess one of the Australian background artists working on that episode knew the show was being made for adults and decided to sneak in that little detail, even though for some reason she had only one nipple. And as I said, this show is pretty much the Family Guy, King of the Hill of its time. It led to some controversy about Hanna-Barbera producing a cartoon for adults. As remember, this is during the animation age ghetto, when people still had that general idea that cartoons are still for kids, long before Who Framed Roger Rabbit and The Simpsons changed all that. And there's still a bit of that ghetto going on, like the Oscars often citing animation as kid stuff, in addition to presenting the awards such was pretty boring. One more note. Warner Archive also recently announced the first volume of Looney Tunes Collector's Vault, the successor to the Collector's Choice Blu-rays from the past 2 years. And this will include 2 discs. But I guess that about wraps things up. I'm planning to go see The Day the Earth Blew Up pretty soon. And Daffy and I also want you to go see it, as it's a chance to save the Looney Tunes from the further wrath of that corrupt punk David Zaslav. But we also want you to keep watching this YouTube channel, see whatever happens here next.